Michaela Tempers this morning with Saintly. And on Parakuihi, it is time for another one of our beloved acoustic sessions where we chat to an artist and get a chance to hear a couple of tracks stripped back. Michaela Tempers is a writer and musician based in Te Whanganui Aotearoa, Aotearoa, and while studying for her Masters in Creative Writing, she began writing a new collection of songs exploring the complexities of womanhood, which have formed the basis of her forthcoming EP, Good Woman. Kia ora, Michaela, and welcome back to Parakuihi.
Kia ora, thank you for having me.
It's so lovely to have you back here in studio, and this time with the full EP out in the world.
Yes.
Because last time we spoke, we were teasing Higher Ground,
Yep.
and now we're here. How has it felt to have Good Woman out there and you're hearing people's reactions?
Yeah, it feels really good. I feel a bit cheeky because, to be fair, 4 of the tracks have been out for a wee while. And then when I was doing the hype of like, hey, I've released my EP, I was also like, I've only released 2 extra songs. But it just feels complete. It feels so nice to have it out there.
Did you make that choice because it has been a little while since your last EP? It was 10 years since you had some music come out, and we were so happy to see that you were back and bringing your voice to the stage. So did you want to have those tracks out just to kind of get an idea of what the audience reaction would be?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a passion project, and I had the original EP, 4 songs, ready to go at my last show last year, and then I just written a couple that were kind of I just felt like they were bangers, and then I thought, I want to record them and I want to add them, and because I knew that half of my band are moving overseas, so I just wanted to capture it, and then life, so it took a little bit longer to come out than I think anyone anticipated, but here it is. So yeah.
Well, you've done well, especially with band members moving overseas, and I can hear that you've got the strength in all of the tracks, all 6 tracks off the EP, because when I first listened through, I felt like it was a gift that you created to your younger self, because there's reflection, but also this sense of claiming yourself again. And you've spoken before here on Active about reclaiming your identity through making these songs. So what has that process been like emotionally, and now that you're here with the full album, has it been a good reflection?
Yeah, I think I feel like I'm living my very authentic, truest life. I was at a dinner party recently, and I think someone posed the question, if you had all the money in the world and you didn't have to work, what would you be doing? And I sort of had the privilege to say, I'd still be doing what I'm doing. I just wouldn't have to work the 9 to 5 that I work, trying to squeeze it in. But so that was, I don't know, that felt really cool for myself to reflect on. Like, yeah, I'm doing what I want to be doing, which is great. And so having this little record out in the world just feels like a manifestation of, hey, yeah, I'm living how I want to live, and not everyone gets to say that, I don't think.
Especially in these difficult times, because when you first started creating music over 10 years ago, it would have been a whole different landscape here in Aotearoa in terms of the creative industry, how it was supported, and even looking after yourself financially. So has it been quite different now making music with the lack of funding and lack of performance spaces?
Well, it's been easier for me this time around because I'm a little bit older now. Like, I have a partner who is able to help financially support all of this, and then I just have some really wonderful musician friends. So I maybe that's not everyone's reality, and it certainly wasn't my reality 10 years ago, but because of those things, I feel like I've been able to do this. So yeah, I know that there's that wandering artist, sort of tortured artist trope, which I think is around and it happens, but for me, like, stability has been the thing that has actually helped me to be more creative.
Is that what ignited the spark, having that confidence that you're in a different place in your life now, that I can release my voice and have that writing out there?
Definitely part of it, and I think another part of it was I had like a hard drive of all this music that, because I hadn't been playing, and I can't remember if I shared this last time, but yeah, I had a hard drive of all this music. It was an album's worth, but because I hadn't played literally in years, I couldn't remember how to play any of it, and then it got wiped.
Maybe an artist's biggest fear is having your hard drive wiped.
Totally. And unfortunately, because I hadn't kept any records, I couldn't remember it all, and so I felt, I actually had just the most extreme breakdown that came out of nowhere, but it was a real telling sign for me, because it was like, oh shit, this means something to you. And yeah, that was sort of the catalyst. I then booked myself in for guitar lessons, just with a rando who now happens to be the lead guitarist in my band. And and then I'd made a friend, Brooke from French for Rabbits, and literally she didn't know for a while that I was a musician because I didn't feel like it was my, I don't know, I didn't feel that was how I was. But yeah, over time, I think, but especially that catalyst of losing all the music, I was like, I have to do this. And yeah, so here I am doing it, or done it. I don't know. I'm in the middle of it, and it feels awesome.
Well, your brother must be very proud, because I know that you started learning guitar
Yeah.
because he played guitar.
Yeah.
And now seeing that you've got some lessons and you're releasing music,
Yeah.
it's like a full circle moment.
Yep, it is.
And something that I always love about your writing is how you play with structure, because you have tempo changes and
Yep.
also sudden pauses.
Yep.
It's like the songs breathe on their own terms. Now, is this just something that's in your instinct, or do you intentionally lean into those unexpected elements of pausing?
I think it's completely due to lack of jazz training, or to be honest with you. And I had massive imposter syndrome when I first met with my band, because they're all very fabulous musicians. And I was like, man, why do they want to play with me? And then very recently I made a comment. I said, we had a temporary guitarist come in, and I saw them explaining to this temporary guitarist, hey, remember we told you about the time changes? And then I said, wow, do you think other musicians would find it hard to play with me? And unanimously, in one breath, they all said yes. And I was like, oh, but they all then said, no, it's great, we love it, keep doing what you're doing. I don't know, and I think that made me feel better, because I do get a bit worried about what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, it's just completely, I think it comes from lack of knowing what I'm doing, and I just sort of go with the flow.
Yeah, it shows that there aren't any boundaries
Yes.
in creating music.
Yeah.
Because we think there's such a, regimented time frame. You've got to create music, get a band, have that audio all recorded in a studio, and then have the process of actually releasing music, publishing it.
Yep.
And it seems very regimented, but when you
Yeah.
actually take it back to the beginning of how music came to be and why we like it,
Yeah.
it has that natural balance. And who is a part of your band that has been so close on this project?
Brooke Singer from French for Rabbits. We've got Chris Armour. He's an incredible guitarist that plays with Louis TM, Miles Calder. I've got Hikarangi and Phoebe. They are a little duo that play in bands like Ebony Lamb, Revolver. They've just been on tour with Dateline, that have been opening for the Beths across Europe. And then I've got Dale Jellyman, who's an amazing pianist or keys person who plays in a number of bands around Wellington as well.
So will you have some of the band show?
They'll all be there tonight.
They'll all be there.
Yeah. So it's a full band show tonight. And then, with French for Rabbits playing as well. So, a couple of the band members are pulling double duty.
We love that. Well, we're going to listen to some live music now off the EP Good Woman. And you've chosen the final track off the EP, The Plane.
Yep.
Can you tell us more about the story behind this tune?
Yeah, this is a very folky tune that I felt just rumbled through me. I often think about this poet that I really like, who often talks about how she believes poetry is a muse or a force, and she'll feel a poem rumbling across the hills towards her, and if she doesn't run inside and grab a pen, she just feels like it will rumble away from her, and sometimes she'll catch a poem backwards and then write down this poem backwards. I truly felt that with this song, it just came out of thin air. It just sort of rolled on through me. I wrote it in a day. It's quite emotional. It was written about this very interesting tension that I'm personally finding between the world and the state, and I just feel all the chaos and the wars and the grief and the pain, and yet me doing this thing that I absolutely love and I have this sense of ambition for, I want to pursue, and just wondering, is art worth it? Which I always come back to, yes, it is worth it. Yeah.
It's like a beautiful love song to the journey that you've
Yeah,
had. And
yeah.
also, I think that's an important reflection that a lot of people don't think about. It is actually hard
Yes.
in the creative industries, and we often question, is this actually all worth it? Are we doing the right
Yep.
thing in the moment? And like you said, there are some really terrible things happening in the world with the genocide and many different wars in other parts of the country.
Yep.
So I think this is going to be a beautiful song for Radioactive
Yeah.
listeners to hear this morning. Well, Michaela, you take it away.
Great.
You're listening to Radioactive.fm. This is The Breakfast Show with Sunaina, and we're going to hear some live music. This is Michaela Tempers, their tune The Plane, and it's from their new EP, Good Woman.
The plane flies away, big white body. Last night was great, was a fever. But I don't know how far to go. Sometimes I drive to the movies just to watch somebody else's life. I sit all alone in the darkness. Sometimes I laugh, sometimes I cry, but I don't know how far to go. The thing is, I'm happier than I have ever been. But my friend is dying, and water is still water. Didn't I know? Didn't I know that this is how far we'd go?
Michaela, that was truly magical. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I'm lost for words again. I think when we have these moments here in the studio, and we've got a couple of people in the booth with us this morning recording the set, and it's a really nice experience to have in the morning and hear your voice. And I'm so happy after 10 years that you came back and get to share it with us all
Thank
again.
you. I am also very happy about it.
Yeah, my goodness. If it was kept away, we'd be missing out on something truly beautiful. Now, the EP is called Good Woman.
Yep.
And there is a lot of discussion in media over time and history of what actually is a good woman?
Yes.
What does that look like?
Yes.
Is it expectation? Because there's a lot of us, we have resilience, softness. We're also part of this rebellion. So what does the title Good Woman mean to you, and where did it come from?
It came from the title track Good Woman, which was actually written about someone very close to me who was in an abusive relationship. So honestly, it's just a wild, wild track. It actually sounds really great acoustically, and it was very fun to get into the studio and just like, I don't know, create something completely wild from it, because that's how I felt. But I think it encapsulates the whole album in this sense. I think I'm writing from this place of feeling quite trapped in, like, I guess the prisms of my identity, I suppose definitely my gender, but I think more so, just all of these little cages that I think my life had set for me. And honestly, on reflection, I think I write from a pain point, and then a lot of the songs have moments of like empowerment. I think, like the choruses are often empowering lyrics, which I didn't do intentionally, but I think looking back, so I do feel like, I'm looking back at a younger me. I think you said that very well. Mm-hmm. And now I feel like, I just feel like I'm living free. Wow, I know that sounded very corny, but totally how I feel.
I can hear that sense of freedom in the tune Nothing to Lose, because you say, now that I'm older,
yes,
I say it like it is.
Yep.
And this almost feels like a statement from someone's thesis, or the thesis of the EP. Was there a moment in your life that you realized that maybe you were done for apologizing for taking up space as an artist, and especially as a woman?
Yes, like I'm definitely like the world's greatest people pleaser, and I'm not entirely sure that will leave me, because I think there's aspects of that I actually kind of enjoy. Like I enjoy, wow, I can't believe I'm saying this, I enjoy people pleasing to like an extent. But for sure, I think the lyrics in the second chorus, which again draw on empowerment, like I am like a knife, I've got nothing, and then I've got nothing to lose. Like this is who I am, no apologies needed. And honestly, I think aging is wonderful. Not that I'm very old, but I'm definitely getting to a point in my life where as a woman you start to feel a little bit redundant, despite having a very young face. But actually aging and learning is really, really, really good, and I can't believe I'm saying that.
How do you look after yourself when you write from a place of pain, and as time goes on the music develops, but you probably don't want to always be looking back on those times when you're performing live?
Mm-hmm. It's so funny. I've actually got a very, very recent track that I wrote literally on the weekend, and then I pitched it to the band last night, and so we're playing it tonight. I think it's going to be good, but the initial lyrics were so painful that before sending to the band, I had to really reflect and think, do I want this? And I was like, no. So I did change some of the lyrics, and then that felt more authentic, although I think the aching sort of pain of it is still there.
And that's a lot of trust to have in your band as well, to allow them into that part of yourself,
yes,
and to read the lyrics in its first form. Because when we think about music and what maybe listeners expect from artists, we want that music that's from that extreme place, that deepness of, we want to hear that pain, we want to hear that grievance. But there's also beauty in that the world is not always, you're not always living in those extremities, or else it would be very difficult for someone to move forward and create music and create that life. So finding that balance is still showing your true self, because you're like, I was able to take it there, but it's something that I keep to myself, those lyrics.
100%. I actually I got a Instagram message from someone, I think, who was just commenting on the EP. It was really nice, but they made a really interesting comment with Nothing to Lose, which took me like a couple of days to respond, because I wasn't quite sure how to take it. But they said, when I first listened to this, I couldn't. It was sort of the sentiment that they found it difficult to listen to, Nothing to Lose. Like, I think it was a bit sincere. Maybe it hit home, the lyrics. And then in the end, they said, I love it. Mm-hmm. But I think it took them a while to get there, which I found very interesting, because I'm like, wow, it's my poppiest song. Like, do you know? But yeah, I think that's just how I write. I think I come from a place of, my mother always says to me, she's like, if I'm going through something hard, she's like, oh, it's fodder. It's fodder for your writing. But honestly, that's true. And I think I made a goal when I started all of this to be really vulnerable. It was my crowning organizing principle of my music was, I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to do this, I'm going to show up for myself, I'm going to write how I feel, but yes, boundaried. So I'm okay sharing, and I suppose it will attract a certain listener, and I can totally appreciate that people maybe don't, they want to listen to something not so sad or painful or sincere.
I can hear the light-hearted elements though, and especially in your music videos that
Yes,
you've created.
yes.
I want to talk about being in Foxton
Oh, yeah.
and filming this retro music video.
How great was it?
It was so cool.
Yeah, so definitely kudos to Nick George, who is a fabulous photographer, drummer, videographer. He's actually, we've got a live version of The Plane coming out as well that he's done, which I'll do a little bit later. But yeah, Foxton, he just knew this. He's got friends who, it's called Mars Patch, just a totally retro vibe of a house in Foxton that I think is family owned, totally Kiwiana. No one's allowed to change it, and therefore you just it's like you're stepping into I don't know what time period that is, 60s, 50s, 70s, I don't know, but yeah. So it was just, and actually I was so unprepared. I had a friend the night before knock on my door and be like, hey, I've got an outfit for you if you want to wear them. I had not thought about clothing for the music video. And then she just gave me these jumpsuits, which just totally matched the house. It was really, really great. But I honestly couldn't have done it without, my friends.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun as well to bring the music to life and have a music video and have that creativity outside of your brain as well. Well, you're performing tonight at San Fran. French Rabbits are opening for you. Now, for listeners out there, doors are open at 7 and French for Rabbits are performing at 7:30. And I'm sure that you're excited to bring this new music to life to the stage.
Yeah. This honestly, I find shows quite stressful to organise, but once I'm on stage, it's like the world's best feeling. Yeah.
Well, we look forward to seeing you live tonight, Michaela. Thank you for coming on the Breakfast
thanks
Show.
for having me, everyone.